Hello and welcome back to Spooktober Radio. I am your host, that which should not be spoken of, and I've got a spooky tale lined up for you. So sit down, grab a cup of hot cocoa, and prepare yourself for the story of the flesh. "'Twas a dark and stormy night, as they often are when approaching the Halloween times, especially in this town called New Greensdale. The wind, it howled, and the rain pounded at the windows of the classic suburban home of our protagonist. His name, unimportant, but William Osborne. He sits inside of his armchair recliner. His younger sister, she had gone out to visit some friends of hers. They were having a Halloween party, a get-together, if you will. William has received a call. The call is from Elaine. She simply says that she needs a ride home. Although what strikes William as quite odd is the fact that she needs to be picked up from the cemetery. But he assumes parties go wrong. I'm sure that it was some sort of radical dare that seemed to land her in an unfortunate situation at the local graveyard. So he packs up his things and gets an umbrella and heads out. As he drives through the town, he notices that everything is oddly silent. Especially for a trick-or-treating night, he expects more people to be out, but he supposes that maybe the storm has turned away all possible trick-or-treaters. So he continues. Eventually, he gets to the cemetery. He hops out of his car, locks it, and heads past the open gate. Inside of the cemetery, it's bleak as usual, but it feels oddly cold. He marks it off as a side effect of the wind. It's got to be chilling him to the bone at this point, but he is wearing quite the heavy jacket. Either way, he's starting to feel a little bit worried. It's just a sense that he has. He heads in between the rows of gravestones. He's looking for Elaine, but then he remembers that, of course, he has his phone on him, so why not give her a call? So he flips open his phone, calls her number, and 1 ring, 2 rings, 3 rings, now he's getting antsy, 4 rings, 5 rings, 6 rings, missed call. He sets his phone away and tries again. 1 ring, 2 rings, 3 rings, 4 rings, 5 rings, missed call. He's worried. But, no matter. He's sure that he can find her. So he continues to walk amongst the gravestones. He shines his phone using the flashlight to make sure that he isn't missing anything amongst the darkness. And then he hears a sound. It is very clearly Elaine's voice. It's saying something along the lines of, "I'm over here." Naturally, he heads towards it. It's the purpose of his visit. But something does seem off about it. It doesn't have a panicked tone. Rather, it seems to be oddly calm. William makes his way further down. He's now following the sound, and eventually he passes the gravestones and reaches the dead, withering trees. The leaves lay on the ground. He crunches upon the ones still dry. He continues hearing the voice. Over time, they seem to get more and more panicked. It almost sounds as though something is... No, but that couldn't be it. He hears Elaine's voice off in the distance, but it's not that far anymore. He's getting closer. And so he followed it, deeper into the woods. And eventually he found the source of the sound. But I don't think that you'd be surprised to learn that the source was not Elaine. No. When he found the source, he instead found a monster. That's the only way that I can describe it. It seemed to be a being of eldritch horror. It was a conglomerate of what seemed like flesh. It moved through a weird combination of crawling and stumbling around on what little appendages it could muster, and every time it moved you could hear the rips and the tears of the flesh along it, and then see the re-stitching that occurred. It was a beast, I suppose, and from it emanated his lovely sister's voice. But all of that was not the worst part. Instead, what was the worst part to poor William was the eyes. The many, many eyes. He looked into them. They were everywhere on the body, but the odd part was that every single eye seemed to have been pointed directly at its prey, which just happens to be poor William. So he looked into the eyes, and staring back at him was, oddly, his sister. Elaine, he could feel her among it. So, despite his best interests, instead of running, he took a step towards it. It dragged itself along the ground using its many, many arms. He took another step. It tore. Blood leaked out from its many holes, and it re-stitched itself together, and every eye stared directly into William's and said, "I am in pain, and you are the only one that can still save me." And William believed it. Well, well, well. That was quite the tale, wasn't it? Let's get back to our regularly scheduled songs, coming right back in with Willwood and the Tapeworms, Bones.